Hey there, fellow soil enthusiasts. After spending way too many years and honestly, way too many dollars, learning the hard way, I'm here to save you from the marketing traps that had me fooled for far too long. We've all been there, standing in the garden center, credit card burning a hole in our pocket, convinced that shiny new product will be the answer to all our gardening woes. Spoiler alert, it usually isn't. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on 15 garden products that are designed more to empty your wallet than fill your harvest basket. But don't worry, I'm not leaving you hanging. For every money-wasting product, I'll share what actually works, often costing you pennies on the dollar while delivering better results. Those premium bagged potting mixes with fancy labels can cost upwards of $15 for a small bag that barely fills 2 containers. The truth? Most commercial potting mixes are filled with bark chips and peat that compress over time, creating drainage nightmares. Instead, create your own blend using 1 part compost, 1 part coconut coir or peat moss, and 1 part perlite or coarse sand. This costs about half the price and gives you complete control over drainage and nutrition. I've been mixing my own for 3 years now, and my container plants have never been happier. Synthetic fertilizers promise quick results and they deliver temporarily, but here's what the bag doesn't tell you. They're creating a dependency cycle while slowly killing your soil's natural ecosystem. These products can cost $30 to $50 per season and require constant reapplication. Your better bet? Start composting kitchen scraps and yard waste. In 6 months, you'll have black gold that feeds your plants slowly and builds soil structure. For immediate needs, diluted worm tea or fish emulsion costs a fraction and actually improves soil health over time. Those gorgeous raised bed kits at the garden center look tempting, but they're essentially charging you $200 to $400 for what amounts to a few pieces of wood and some hardware. The markup is astronomical, and most use thin boards that'll warp within 2 seasons. Hey, instead of buying expensive kits, just head to your local lumber yard instead. Cedar or composite boards, some corner brackets, and, about an hour of your time will create the exact same bed for around $60 to $80. Plus, you can totally customize the size to fit your space perfectly, instead of being locked into those standard dimensions. The plant food aisle is, honestly, designed to convince you that tomatoes, roses, and orchids each need completely different formulations. While it's true that plants do have varying needs, buying separate fertilizers for every species is really overkill that can cost you hundreds per season. A quality all-purpose organic fertilizer, believe it or not, handles about 90% of your garden's needs. For the remaining 10%, simple amendments like bone meal for phosphorus-loving bloomers or kelp meal for potassium-hungry fruiting plants will totally cover you. I've actually simplified my fertilizer cabinet from 12 products down to just 3, with absolutely no decrease in plant performance. So, commercial insecticides and fungicides promise to solve pest problems quickly, but honestly, they're just treating symptoms rather than causes. These products often cost somewhere between $15 and $25 per bottle and, require repeated applications, creating an expensive cycle that never truly ends. Instead, it's best to focus on prevention. Healthy soil creates healthy plants that naturally resist pests and diseases. Companion planting, beneficial insect habitats, and proper spacing, well, they cost nothing but provide lasting protection. And when intervention is needed, a homemade neem oil spray or insecticidal soap costs just pennies and works just as effectively. Smart irrigation controllers with app connectivity and weather sensors might seem incredibly sophisticated, but honestly, they often create more problems than they solve. These systems can cost anywhere from $200 to $500, and more often than not, they malfunction, leading to over- or underwatering disasters. A simple mechanical timer costs about $20, and honestly, it works reliably for years. But even better, you can learn to read your plants and check soil moisture levels yourself. Your finger is, hands down, the best moisture meter ever invented, and it's totally free. Most plants, well, they prefer deep, infrequent watering that you can easily manage with just some basic timing and a little observation. Colored mulches, decorative stones, and rubber mulch products, they're really about looks, but they completely ignore what mulch is actually supposed to do: retain moisture, suppress weeds, and improve your soil. Plus, these products often cost 3 times more than the functional alternatives and, to be honest, provide minimal benefit. Shredded leaves, grass clippings from untreated lawns, and wood chips from your local tree services, these work way better and, best of all, cost you nothing. They break down over time, feeding your soil while giving you all the benefits you actually need. I've never met a plant that cared what color its mulch was, but let me tell you, I've seen countless plants thrive under simple organic mulches. You know, home soil testing kits might seem like a bargain compared to professional lab tests, but honestly they usually only measure pH and just a few basic nutrients. This kind of incomplete picture, well, it often leads to unnecessary amendments and, continued confusion about soil problems. Instead, you should contact your local agricultural extension office. Most of them offer comprehensive soil testing for about $15 to $25, and that includes detailed recommendations that are specific to your region. This one-time investment really gives you actionable information that actually helps you improve your soil, rather than just guessing with incomplete data. So, elaborate seed starting systems with heat mat specialized trays and grow lights can easily run you $100 to $300. And while these setups might make sense for commercial operations, most home gardeners can start seeds successfully with much simpler methods. You know, recycled yogurt containers, a sunny windowsill, and some good seed starting mix will handle most seeds just perfectly. For those heat-loving varieties, just place the containers on top of your refrigerator. Waste heat from there gives a gentle, steady warmth. Honestly, this approach costs less than $20 and has served gardeners well for generations. Cheap garden tools might seem like bargains at first, but before you know it, you're replacing them every single year. These flimsy implements often break right in the middle of important garden tasks, leading to frustration and ongoing expenses that, frankly, end up costing more than just investing in quality alternatives. Invest in well-made tools from reputable manufacturers. A quality spade, rake, and pruning shears might set you back about $150 up front, but with just basic maintenance, they'll serve you for decades. I mean, I'm still using tools I bought 15 years ago, while some of my friends are already on their 5th set of so-called bargain replacements. Flimsy tomato cages and decorative plant stakes, you know, they might look adequate in the store, but they really fail miserably when your plants reach full size. These inadequate supports often cost about $10 to $15 each, and honestly, you end up needing to replace them every season as they bend and break under the weight of your plants. Instead, try building sturdy supports using concrete reinforcing wire for tomato cages, or, create permanent trellises using treated lumber and welded wire fencing. These solutions might cost a little more at first, but they last for years and provide superior plant support that actually keeps those heavy fruits off the ground. Self-watering globes, moisture meters, and automatic watering spikes all promise to simplify garden care, but honestly they often create more maintenance than they eliminate. These gadgets frequently clog, malfunction, or provide inconsistent watering, and that can really stress out your plants. So, here's the real secret. Develop a consistent watering routine based on observation and, checking your soil moisture. Most gardens actually thrive with deep watering 2 to 3 times per week, rather than that daily sprinkling a lot of folks do. This approach costs nothing, gives you better plant health, and, honestly, just eliminates all that gadget maintenance entirely. Garden centers, well, they stock separate soil blends for vegetables, flowers, trees, and shrubs, and each one usually commands a premium price. It's a marketing strategy that convinces gardeners they need different soils for different plants, and that just leads to expensive purchases and, let's face it, storage headaches. Good garden soil is good garden soil, no matter what you're growing. Just focus on building healthy, well-draining soil with plenty of organic matter. This universal approach honestly works for virtually all your garden plants, and it eliminates the need for multiple soil products cluttering up your storage area. Plastic plant labels and garden markers promise to help you remember what you planted where, but most fade or become brittle within a single season. These products seem inexpensive individually, but add up quickly when you need dozens for a full garden. Create permanent plant markers using aluminum plant labels and a ballpoint pen, or repurpose household items like old spoons or wooden paint stirrers. These alternatives cost almost nothing and often last longer than commercial products while serving the same identification function. Cheap garden hoses seem like reasonable purchases until they start kinking, developing leaks, and making watering a frustrating chore. These hoses often need replacement within 2 seasons, making them more expensive than quality alternatives over time. So, invest in a quality rubber or reinforced vinyl hose with solid brass fittings. Sure, it costs more up front, but honestly, a good hose will serve you reliably for 10 years or more. And, proper hose storage on a reel or hanger prevents kinking and extends its life even further. The gardening industry, just like a lot of others, really profits from convincing us that we need more stuff to be successful. But honestly, the most productive gardens I know belong to gardeners who focus on soil health, plant knowledge, and those good old time-tested techniques, rather than the latest gadgets and products. Your garden doesn't actually need expensive solutions, it just needs your attention, your consistency, and your understanding. Every dollar you don't waste on unnecessary products is a dollar you can invest in quality tools, diverse seeds, or maybe that fruit tree you've been wanting to try. Remember, gardening is really about growing food and beauty, not just accumulating stuff. The most satisfying gardens, in my experience, grow from knowledge and care, not from credit card statements. So, are you ready to grow smarter, not spend more? Go ahead and subscribe to Soilsage Chronicles for more practical gardening wisdom that puts your plants first and your budget second. And hey, share this article with fellow gardeners who could use a dose of money-saving reality. Your gardening friends will thank you, and their wallets will too.